Hi, it's Mary Jo. I'm just coming to you because I just saw something as I was reading the Bible that really spoke to me, and I just wanted to share it with you. If you turn with me to Isaiah chapter 6, verse 8. And this is the Lord speaking. It says, "Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us?" This is the Lord. So many people today are hurting, thinking they see all the tragedy and all the pain around them, and they want to know where God is and why does God allow this. God doesn't allow anything. And when Jesus went to heaven, he left this earth. God could work through Jesus while he was on this earth, but when Jesus went to heaven, now we have the power. We are his hands and feet. It's up to us to carry out the word and the love of Jesus to everyone around us. And we do that, by little inclinations that we hear in our head. Um, say, open the door for this person, or you're walking down a grocery aisle and you see someone trying to reach something up top, and you say, maybe I should help that person. And you say, no, I'm in a rush. I got to hurry up. And you hear the kids screaming, or you got something you got to do, so you just keep on walking. It's little things like that. You don't think it adds up, but it really does, because it's showing love. It's helping others. And that's what Jesus was all about. It doesn't have to be this big, grand, major thing that you do. It's just little things every day, all day long, by showing his love. Let's turn to Matthew 25. Matthew 25, verse 40. The king will reply, this is Jesus talking, "I tell you the truth, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers of mine, you did for me." You know what that means? The least of these. Somebody that you would see in a grocery store or on the street somewhere, and you would definitely say, they need Jesus, or they don't know Jesus, or because we are all his on this earth. Whether we choose to follow him or not, God created us all. And right there, Jesus said, for what you do for the least of these is as if you're doing it unto Jesus. I mean, it's all about love. Jesus came, he gave 2 new commandments: that you love him, love God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and that you love your neighbor as yourself. Because he knew that we are so, it's easier for us to think of one thing, love, instead of the whole list of commandments, where if you walk in love, all the commandments are going to come right underneath love. You won't break any of the law, even though it's not about law and regulation, because when you feel so loved by Jesus, you want to do what is right. It doesn't become a law. It becomes like a gift to Jesus for his love for us that we want to give back to him. So it's, something that you can do when you go to Starbucks next time. Instead of buying 1 coffee, buy 2. And as you're walking out the door, hand it to the very next person you see and say, God bless you, and walk off. And it's best to do it to somebody you don't know. You could think, hey, I'll buy another one and give it to my boss or my coworker, because you know what? Then it's like you're expecting something in return, or even just a smile or a thank, or they're like, wow, look what he got me today, or she got me, or did for me. But if you do it for a complete stranger, you can only get your reward from God. Because you walk off, you'll never see that person again. And your reward will be from heaven. It will be waiting for you in heaven. And it's just showing God's love. It's such, you feel silly sometimes, but just do it and try it, and you'll see a difference. And it is contagious. It's like a trickle effect. You like throwing a rock in the water and you see the ripples. I bet that person will do something good for somebody else. It's just showing love every day as Jesus did. And remember, it's not, you don't got to wait for something, to see something to want to do it, because we live by faith, not by sight. But the world lives by sight and not by faith. If you look in Isaiah, the same chapter, chapter 6 that we were just in, but on verse 10, Isaiah 6:10, it says, the people are ever hearing but never understanding, ever seeing but never perceiving, because they are looking for what is around them. See, if you're a believer, you know there's a God and his promises, and that's what gives you joy, and that's what makes you want to spread love. The world just sees the world around them. They don't know God's promises and that we live by faith and not by sight. So it's up to us to show them. They have to see it. So we feel God's love because we believe and we know he exists. But the world doesn't, so we have to be a vessel of God's love to others so they can see it, and then eventually they will start to believe. It usually takes 7 to 10 people, they say, to before when you're witnessing to somebody, before they start thinking, hey, maybe there is something to this. So never lose hope. If you're out there witnessing and you just say God bless you or something small, and you feel like you didn't really do anything, you did. And one day you'll find out in heaven that you did. We have to show people how much we trust God. Let's turn to the same book, Isaiah, chapter 8, verse 17. It says, I will wait for the Lord who is hiding his face from the house of Jacob, and I will put my trust in him. You put your trust in him. You don't, not what you see around you, just put your trust in him. Don't back down. Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. Faith will move mountains, but we just get so embarrassed. Like if something happened at work and you act like you want to say, oh, God will handle it. I'm not worried about that. God is a wonderful God. He will take care of me. And you're around non-believers, most people are too ashamed to say it. I don't know why. The world is so hungry for something. They are searching for something, and we have it, but we keep it hidden because we're embarrassed to tell them. If you look at in that same chapter, Isaiah 8, verse 19, nothing's new. This is, we think that this world is so different than back in the Bible days. It was all the same back then too. They just didn't have as nice of shoes as we got now. If you look at verse 19, it says, when men tell you to consult mediums and spiritists who whisper and mutter, should not a people inquire of their God? Why consult the dead on behalf of the living? People are out there searching and so hungry for something, and we have a living God that we get scared to speak of when we're in a group of non-believers, especially if we're the only believer. If you at least have another believer there to back you up and try to, encourage you, that's why Jesus always sent the disciples out 2 by 2, because it's difficult, it's very hard. But you got to remember, we live by faith and not by sight, and not to worry. If you continue reading, it says, to the law and to the testimony, if they do not speak according to this word, the medium and the spiritist, and they have no light of dawn. In the world, it says in verse 21, distressed and hungry, they will roam through the land. When they are famished, they will become enraged and look upward. And then they will curse the king and their God. That's what people do today. They're so hungry and they're roaming around in distress, and then they start to curse God, thinking it's God's fault. When God does not make us choose, it's our choice. If you turn to Isaiah, that same chapter 8 and verse 12, there's one more thing I wanted to talk about. We are not to be afraid like the world is afraid. It says here, verse 12, do not call conspiracy everything that these people call conspiracy. Do not fear what they fear, and do not dread it. The Lord Almighty is the one you are to regard as holy. He is the one you are to fear. He is the one that you are to dread. Say if you're at work and all of a sudden the company says they're going to have to shut down and close down. Wow. Everybody's going crazy. The morale is